Hello and welcome to My Outstanding Lesson, the podcast that is still not endorsed by anybody. Ugh! One, two, three, eyes on me.
1, 2, 3, eyes on you.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to My Outstanding Lesson, the podcast where we interview a teacher about a memorable learning experience from their career. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks.
Good.
Who have we got on the podcast today?
Today we have Rachel from my very own grade 3 team.
Lovely Rachael.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking to her about teaching. What's the word that will land her in detention?
She'll go into detention if she speaks about politics.
No politics on this, thank you.
Why are you so opposed to having her speak about politics?
Well, they say in order to have a good dinner party, don't bring up religion or politics.
And this is basically a good dinner party.
Yeah, I like to think it is.
We had some pomelo.
And where is Rachael from?
Rachel comes from Scotland.
All the way from Scotland!
She's been in China for quite a few years. 4 years?
Cool.
7 years.
Oh, that just came to you. That's
7
mad.
years.
We're actually recording today's intro after we've done, we've had our chat with Rachael. So keep an ear out for a point in the conversation when Jesse's stroking Ming and just says, "Oh, baby," with no explanation at all.
I was swept away.
Yeah. See if you can spot
He
it.
was being so charming.
Also listen out for a time when at one point Rachael tries to subvert the format by turning the turbo tables on me and then attempting to introduce a mad new feature. Right, I think I see her poking her head through the room. Come in, Rachael!
Hi, Rachel!
We're here with Rachael.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're one of our best listeners.
Avid listener, can we say that?
Avid listener. You can quiz me.
Oh, really?
She's
let's do it.
actually better at this than we are.
Who is the only contestant so far to get a turbo table right?
Millie got it right. Eventually?
No.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good. I don't think Millie did she?
No.
Maybe after a minute or two.
No, because
she
it was
did.
a big deal because she's a math teacher. She was very embarrassed.
As usual, we'll have our lesson starter to make sure we're all nice and warmed up. I played in class with my kids this week. Mr. Freddie's cat is a cat, and then in the space you take it in turns to add an adjective going through the alphabet. Mr. Freddie's cat is an angry cat. Mr. Freddie's cat is a beautiful cat.
And the winner is...
Rachel is obsessed with winning, losing, crushing people into the ground. No winners and losers.
I know you said that, but I'm the only one not looking at the alphabet right now.
Yeah, for the benefit of the listener, Freddie and Jesse struggle knowing the order of the letters in the English alphabet, so we have them on our phones now.
We know from prior experience that
Okay.
it gets hazy as you're doing this.
Oh, T is after S. Right. Oh, and also, with my kids, I play Mr. Freddie's cat, but I don't actually have a cat. So for the benefit of this podcast, we're going to play the old lady's pussy instead. Okay? Right. So try and keep the beat. No. The old lady's pussy is an acrid pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a beautiful pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a crazy pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a delicious pussy.
The old lady's pussy is an edible pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a fantastic pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a green pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a holy pussy.
The old lady's pussy is an infected pussy.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. The old lady's pussy is a jolly pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a kinky pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a lemony pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a mighty pussy.
The old lady's pussy is not a pussy.
The old lady's pussy is an open pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a perfect pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a questionable pussy.
Good.
The old lady's pussy is a ridiculous pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a silly pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a tubular pussy.
Nice.
The old lady's pussy is an unbelievable pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a virulent pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a wonderful pussy.
I got it.
You would deserve
No.
to win.
Xylophonic?
Because you didn't have the alphabet.
I
in front of
was
you.
trying to think. The only two words I know that start with X are X-ray and xylophone.
I think we can make
Xenophobic.
xylophonic. Oh, that
Is
is
it
good.
xenophobic? Does that start with X? Yeah.
The old lady's pussy is a xenophobic pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a yucky pussy.
The old lady's pussy is a Zamboni of a pussy.
Show your work. Show your work.
That's a stretch.
What does that mean?
Dictionary definition, please.
It
Zamboni
could have
of
been
a
a zealous pussy.
Zealous pussy would have
That's
worked a lot better.
Well, we know a lot about the old lady's pussy now. For the record, I have never and will never play the old lady's pussy with children. Just thought I'd make that
I thought
perfectly clear.
you've got two people here with cats.
We could have just said.
And you
Jesse's
could have
cat.
said Jesse or Rachel.
Rachel's accepted the offer of a turbo table.
Yes.
She's quite excited about it, is that right?
Like, with anticipation, excited.
Yeah.
For the listeners' benefit, Freddie offered to tell her if it would be at the beginning or the end of the lesson, and Rachel was like, "No way! Don't give me any clues. I want to win fair
What
and
do you
square."
win?
A stickler for the rules. If you get it right straight away, you get a cup of coffee from me tomorrow.
Can I change the coffee to a hot chocolate?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about collaborative learning, and Rachel was given a few options on what to study when she did her PGCE.
And so you chose collaborative learning.
Yeah, I remember there was things like questioning in the classroom, assessments in the classroom,
Okay.
these kind of
So
things.
by collaborative learning, do you basically mean group work? Setting kids a task where they need to work together in groups?
Group work or peer work, any kind of working together with their peers.
Okay. And what sort of journey did you go on? What did you learn?
Well, the first thing from reading about it was they were like, teach the kids how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've done group work for years. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's a key point. It's like the hardest skill that they're going to work on in the lesson.
And
The
then
group
all
work.
of a sudden I was like, and here's like really clear steps on how to teach the kids collaborative learning and the skills they need for that. I think even just the setup of the classroom didn't allow,
Right.
they were sat in rows.
Okay. So the tradition was not well established.
No, and I didn't observe any kind of collaborative learning in their other subjects.
Okay.
So it wasn't something
interesting.
that I think, I wasn't aware. I taught these children for 3 years. So I'm their English teacher for 3 years, their maths teacher and science. The rest of their schooling is from Chinese teachers.
Okay.
It's funny because we all work in a school where we share the classroom with an Eastern teacher. So my co-teacher has generally preferred them sitting in rows, and I've always I've had to try and sort of fight quite hard against that, because that is basically the the end of the idea of group work, or it's very difficult to get them to
Like, everyone
do it
move your desks
consistently.
together so that we can
Yeah,
do
and the thing is,
something
if you do it once every 3 weeks, that's fine. You can all move the desk, but if you want to do it in every or most lessons, it's not going to work. Is it saying we're going to do group work now? So this is the time when you three move. You know, it needs to be something that is not once in the blue moon, that it's something they are sort of used to. So when you said you taught them how to do it, were there a few like key things you taught them, or what was actually the content of preparing them for group work?
So teaching them kind of the basic skills of how you're going to talk to each other. A lot of what I know we do now in our school, but these kids I'd never talked about, like respecting other people's opinions, like
Totally.
being thoughtful, like adaptable. If other people disagree, then like find a new way.
So did you do the groupings randomly, or did you choose them carefully based on something?
I chose them based on what I was reading, which was to try and have a gender balance, and then on low to mid level, and then mid to high level.
Okay.
Whereas in the past, I think
So
I
a
would...
little bit like ability groups.
Yeah. Only based on, again, what I was reading was, in the past, I often thought, oh, well, high-level students can help low-level students, but then, in actual fact, high-level students are going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Low-level students are going to feel...
There's kind of
out with a
benefits to both. Like, sometimes with groups, I'm like, yeah, okay, I need a high kid in every group. And then sometimes, okay, we want all the high kids together. And
But I noticed a big difference once I was getting... just thinking about it more and choosing the groups and moving people around. I think it definitely made a difference.
yeah.
I know what you mean about sort of preparing them or pre-teaching them for the group work, because I've definitely a few times tried to get group work going and it being an absolute nightmare, and me just thinking, well, come on, do it, come on, why can't you do it? And
Especially with low grades.
yeah, it's obviously, and I think being in China as well, when maybe it's not something that they're completely used to.
They don't have siblings at home as
a lot of groundwork is needed. Something that I've done quite a lot is talk about, you know, rules of group work. So letting everyone else speak, you know, respecting other people's opinion. If you don't agree with it, telling them rather than just saying no, explaining why you don't like it, etc. I think those are really important. Something else I've done is you assign roles. So say they've got one iPad in the group. It's like, okay, this person is the person on the iPad. This person is the person doing the layout of the poster. This person is researching in this book. And it's funny because if you give 3 or 4 children an iPad and you say one of you is in charge of the iPad, just, you know, cover your ears and just wait for all hell to break loose.
Right.
But if you say you're on the iPad, they don't care. You know, or the vast majority of kids, they won't make a fuss about that. It's almost when I think too much choice sometimes is a bit of a struggle. So we want to get to that sweet spot where they have license to be creative and not do exactly what was being prescribed within sort of boundaries, right?
Yeah.
When everyone knows what they're doing or what their role is.
I did that a few times, just cutting out pieces of paper with the role and the instructions of that role, handing them out.
That's good. Could be a nice little hat.
They got excited about it. They're like, okay, this is my role.
I have this job. I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Baby.
I remember quite a few weeks ago we did it, and I think it's probably the first time with my class I've got now where it actually sort of seemed to click. And I remember they'd got started, and I was at the front, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm not needed. And it was a great feeling. And I think you probably know what I mean here. It's like this sort of buzz, but it's a good buzz. You can sort of feel that they're getting on with some decent work in the classroom. And I remember just like looking around thinking, oh my god, they're doing it. They're doing the work. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think having them reflect is obviously such a massive part of it.
Mhm.
And actually, kids can be quite lovely because I think they enjoy pointing out when someone else has worked well. So, for example, in my class, we got the success criteria of good group work. So we, taking turns, listening to each other, not doing work for other people if they can't do it, but helping them and showing them, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the lesson, we'll nominate good group members or good learners in that lesson, and they can't nominate themselves. They have to say, I nominate Billy because I didn't know what to do, and then he showed me that actually I was trying to answer the wrong question, and then they really get a kick out of almost giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
I think, and it can just be like a really nice experience. Like they're saying nice things about each other.
I do have like one rule in reflection is only because I've had the opposite where like I've had kids who love
Billy
saying
didn't help with
this
anything.
student, he or she didn't do this, so I'm like no names.
But it's great practice for kids for what it's going to be like, when they get older and get a job and have to work in groups, right? Because there are so many different types of learners, and I think there'll be kids that naturally try and get away with doing as little as possible. There'll be kids that want to work but feel too shy or not confident enough, and there'll be the kids that want to do everything, and these are people that need to work together.
Yeah.
So I think even if you've got maybe a class of people, of children that don't love it or aren't immediately great at it, it's probably still a really important thing to try and persevere with, I think.
Yeah.
And it really is like rewarding as a teacher when you see it working well, isn't it? I think there's something about kids working together and sharing ideas when you think like, this is what school should be like.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be them telling me what I think I want them to hear, what they think I want them to hear. It should be them working together to come up with something
Come up
new.
with their own ideas, yeah.
I think
So
it's
a bit like what your mum was talking about in her ep.
Right. Yeah, getting kids to solve the world's problems.
Oh.
I listened to it.
We know.
Rachel knows.
But I do think like the groups that have disagreements and resolve them are more interesting. They're getting much more out of it than I think some groups look like. Oh, this group gets on really well and everyone's very happy, but sometimes it can just be a kind of group.
Yeah,
Yes.
like a group that really learns.
So I suppose part of the pre-teaching could be you don't have to agree. Absolutely not. You can disagree, but if you do disagree, here's how you unpack it.
Yeah.
Here's how you do it politely and constructively, rather than shutting someone down. But no, absolutely. I think that's such a vital thing to learn, isn't it? That, just questioning stuff and not necessarily agreeing with things and being able to politely construct a defense of something. A question
how to
about
disagree
something.
respectfully, for sure. And how to have someone disagree with you and be able to handle that.
Like we all
That's
did
what
this.
I don't think now.
We all did
Nowadays
this.
I'm not very good at that.
It's
we
a
all did
real
this
fucking
when we were
challenge.
chatting earlier.
So,
There was a little bit of disagreement when we were chatting about the moon landing, but we worked through it.
We disagree.
We worked through it.
Worked through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did tell you to leave the house twice.
Yeah. It's double time, Rachel.
I felt like it was coming.
11 times
It's like
12.
131. No.
You were so
Oh,
close.
wait, no. Second chances.
Yeah, sure.
11 times 12. Why is that so difficult? 100. I'm working it out in my head. This is why I need to think it out loud. 110 plus 22 is 133. No, it's not 140. What is it?
132, you got it!
132.
Well done, buddy. Jeez.
I told you sixes. The 6 times table.
You had a method which I liked, and it nearly
You explained
worked.
your thinking.
132, are you sure?
Rachel's just checking it on the old iPhone.
Turbo challenge time! 5 multiplied by 6.
What's happening?
It's 30.
Oh, I know, that wasn't the one I wanted to do. I wanted to do a more
too
difficult
easy.
one.
Ready? Do it again.
Right. Turbo challenge time!
Oh, it's on Freddie!
7 multiplied by 8.
56.
Oh, I always get that one wrong.
Which one do you get wrong normally? Have you been practicing them out of fear?
No. I used to get 8 times 8 wrong,
I know that one.
but then I learned 8 and 8 till I was sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64.
Oh yeah, you told us that one.
That is a tough one though. Like around the 7 times 6, 7 times 8 is generally where some people come unstuck. Not 5 times 6.
But the 5s are easy.
The 5, yeah. 7,
Yeah.
I always get 7 multiplied by 8 wrong. I feel like you give them a word and they have to use it in a sentence quickly.
Okay, that's a nice feature. Myxomatosis now.
Myxomatosis is a science word. That's all.
Is that the sentence?
It sounds like that thing that rabbits get.
It is that. That's it.
Is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's also a Radiohead song. It's 2 things.
Okay.
Jesse, plunger now.
I plungered my toilet. Do you have to use it the way it was
It's a
said?
hard game.
I
Well,
used
it was a
plunger in
noun.
my toilet.
You have to stick to the kind
Use it
of word.
properly. Damn. I was looking at my phone when he did that.
Any more?
Mascara.
Brandon Flowers wears mascara and he looks lovely.
Who?
Killer's lead singer.
Oh, I don't know.
He is an attractive man. Rachel, we're finished.
Okay.
What's
This
it?
is the end of the show.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Smashed it.
It's
Do you wanna us to tell you your detention word now?
Yes.
You avoided it.
I really did.
You've officially.
Wait, think about it.
I
We
thought it
often
was
say
gonna
the
be
avoided it
Oscar.
and then
I thought it could have been we.
we.
That'll be unfair because I don't want to do it based on someone's nationality.
Yeah.
Oh, like we, the way a Scottish person might say, like,
Yeah,
a
but-
wee cat.
Battered that out of myself when I started teaching in China.
Politics.
Politics.
Yeah.
When do I ever
Because
talk?
you and I always, whenever we get drunk together, we always talk about politics and it gets a bit heated.
Do we?
Do you not remember this?
Well, I was talking about
Always.
politics the other night again. Because I'm going to vote for the first time.
And thanks for coming, Rachel!
I've never talked about politics with you. Oh, we talked about feminism once.
I think I'm just excited because I'm going to vote for the first time next week.
And you never have.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rachel. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye. That was Rachel.
That was Rachel.
I enjoyed that. I think group work is, I don't know, is definitely one of the more complicated aspect or like things to teach. I think.
And it gets missed. I think sometimes people forget that that's a difficult skill to learn.
Yeah, and just definitely worth like persevering with. Like, because I guess some teachers might have tried it and thought, oh, it was a nightmare. It didn't work. And I would say, you know, it's almost like a rite of passage. You might have a few bad ones, but it's worth continuing with, and because when it works, it can work really well.
Yeah, especially I find in lower primaries, sometimes it seems like a real task just getting them to do.
Yeah.
You know, like a think, pair, share feels like a real task sometimes.
And also, if you do it, the teacher the following year will be very grateful that you've tried to introduce it and set the kids up with it.
Yeah, so true.
Now it's time for our new feature where we keep you abreast of all the little goings on in China. That's right. China news.
I forgot.
I forgot to warn you the jingle was coming. What's our China news this week?
Today, at this moment, we are in the dark because my electricity went off 5 times while we were recording the podcast, and I'm too lazy to go flip the breaker again. This has been happening since I started turning my heater on. Yeah, how's your electricity going these days?
Tip top.
It's flowing.
No probs.
Very lucky.
Just a shimmer.
Ni hao ma.
China news. Okay, before we go, review time. So I've actually cycled back to our early days where we've missed out a couple of reviews, but we've not shared them. This one is left by Bridger number 1. 5 stars. Move over Sam Harris. And he says, amusing mix of ideas and mental pictures. Keep them coming. Looked up. I wish you more on your Instagram. How simple, but brilliant. That was nice. Thank you so much for all the reviews. If you can leave one on Apple Podcasts, we'll be so grateful. Please follow us on Instagram at My Outstanding Lesson. And if you can recommend and share the podcast to your friends, that's really great.
Share with your friends.
Indeed. Right.
Sorry. I have nothing to say.
We'll see you next week.